So, having graduated from this school, I wonder why I see some students in my life, when they move on from high school into university, they go into the university for 1 year, and after 1 year, they quit. And they reapply into another course and did something totally different from what they had their first choice with. And why do we also see some graduates from university and college, whether it be a bachelor degree, a master's degree, or a PhD, that when they go into their first job or their second job, as they progress along, forward into their life, you see that they become more and more distant from the knowledge, the majority of the knowledge that they studied in the university. I mean, there's a huge group of people who are like that. And I also wonder why. Why does sometimes I meet old friends? They're like, hey man, how you doing? Long time no see, And you ask them, how are you? And how's their job? Like, yeah, it's okay, it's a job. And you see that there's a lack of flame and flares and passion in their eyes already. And so it made me look back into myself, whether I was at any time making decisions that I would later regret, Was there a time that I was pressured into choosing something and not getting it right? So when I look back into high school, I remembered that I didn't do too well. I mean, I had a pretty average, slightly above average grade. But by the junior year, I was already able to have a focused idea of which direction in university I was going to do. And by the senior year, I was basically confirmed. And when I applied for the courses that I did for university, which were only two, one was architecture and one was industrial design, both of them accepted me, and I didn't even apply for anything else. I immediately got accepted, and I basically chose the one I thought was more interesting, which was industrial design, because you can work with a wider area of design work. And when I got into design course, at first it was like kind of strange because there were so many distracting subjects that I didn't feel like so related to design. But as the time grew, I started to enjoy more and more of the main subjects and the supporting subjects. And at the end, I found that I benefited so much from this course. I love it. Even though I actually passed in my final year, which was my honors year, with just a passing grade. And with my final project, nearly missed. I almost failed because I missed the due date. I actually carried a project so big that most people wouldn't even bother taking. I missed the due date, and I was the last to present. Everybody else had gone on holidays after they've graduated. I was the last one presenting. But I was also the only one in my entire course who had a job waiting for me that I didn't even have to apply, and I didn't have to send in my resume or present them a degree. And I was the one who everyone got envious, that how did this guy, he nearly failed, but okay, it was an honors year, so a little bit more privilege. He nearly failed, but he's got the job first, where everybody else had to do the application. So when I came back to Thailand from abroad, from Australia to be precise, I went straight into that job, and the company opened up their hands to me. And the job that I went into was a blast. It was a bomb. It was a surf industry, and we had a surf culture in our work. We were wearing, board shorts, thongs, and we had free lunch paid by the boss every day. Every lunch we'd be wakeboarding and after work, and we enjoyed it so much. The work was challenging, and I wanted to wake up every day to go to my work, which is by the lake, by the way. It's next to a lake. And so I come to my second job now, which is now at the Royal Project Foundation. It's every day that I want to come and work at the Royal Project Foundation. I found there's so much challenge for me, and the contribution that I can give to the society is where I have my kicks. So when I look back at my past to the future, I found myself that I'm one of the very few people in the world who who didn't have to go through the trauma or the pressurized of having to choose the most important choice or decision in your life, where a lot of these students or workers you have this gut-wrenching feeling of, am I going to take the right decision? Am I going to regret it later? So I found myself that I didn't go through any of these. So it was almost as if everything was a smooth transition with many opportunities landed in front of me, and I just took it. So when I was giving lecture to some university, I found some students were absolutely not enjoying what they were doing. So what I did as a designer is I started to have questions of how can we design something for your life. Now, back in high school, let me go back to the story. There was a favorite band that I liked. It was called the Manic Street Preachers. Anyone know this? Woo! Fantastic. The Manic Street Preachers, by the fourth album, came out with a song called A Design for Life, right? And the opening phrase went, libraries gave us power, then work came and made us free. And then the lyrics went on and on and on until you get the refrain that goes, a design for life, a design for life. And that album was so good that I listened all the way through my high school until today. And that song, also, it made like triple platinum in the UK. But that song and those two catchphrases caught onto my head, and it just recited at the back. I kept onto my mind that, wow, libraries gave us power, then work came and made us free. It meant knowledge equals power, and when you work, that means you apply the knowledge and the confidence, and it makes you free. And then the theme is design for life. So I didn't really know the connection yet. Actually, the song had nothing to do with what I'm talking about. It was totally a different context. But those are the only two phrases that I caught and used for my own purpose, my own benefit. Then later on, I went into university. I saw another very famous quote, which I think most of you would probably have heard. If you love what you do, you'll never have to work a day in your life. And I thought, are you serious? Are we even allowed to think like that? Oh, I love it, man. We don't have to work. We just do what we love. Fantastic. That meant freedom. So when I combine the two philosophies together, one is you have enough knowledge, you become confident, you apply it, and then it sets you free. Because why? Being in high school, you did 12 years of learning. You're full of knowledge. You're so eager to go free and use it, right? And when you go to university, they tell you, you still don't have to work if you just do what you love. And I thought, that's it. That's what it meant, a design for life. Maybe it could be a theme where I could come up. So these philosophies actually hung into my head. And because I'm a design student, I became obsessed. And now at this TED Talk, I actually came up with a design tool. I actually designed a design tool to perhaps help people who were not so privileged as me, because I actually found my niche. And by coming up with this tool, I actually look back at how I learned things, my own history, and also at how other prominent people rose to the top of what could be a framework for a person to go into and perhaps apply it and learn their strength, know better about themselves, their preference, their personality, and till the end, know the purpose of life. This is something that I want to help other people. So in design, when you come up with a product, like an iPhone, for example, a lot of thoughts has gone beyond what you see. There's a lot of premeditation, a lot of product planning, a lot of market study research. The functions need to be defined. What are the boundaries, what conditions will this machine work, and who will buy this, right? So once you've got all this right, this product will sell, and it's sold really well. I mean, it's Apple's idea. And so I thought, what if those guys who did really well in society, did they do something in their life to get to that point? Because everybody wants a piece of him. We want a piece of him to work here, or you want to go to him to hear some advice. They're so valuable, like diamonds, that people go into the mountains and dig out. So anyway, I'm now working at the Royal Project for 10 years, and I'm also a very happy person. I found that myself wanting to excel, keep on going at where I'm going, and I didn't want to look back. So I applied the design methodology into my life, and my specialty is to decompartmentalize an idea and redesign it into something else. So this is what I'm presenting. First, you got to make a wish that you want to know your purpose. So if you don't talk to yourself and make a solid wish, especially if you still don't know, right? If you're at the stage that you don't know, you need to make a wish to yourself that one day, sooner or later, I will know my niche. I will know my strength. I will know my directions, and I will know my purpose. Okay? So this is giving a direction to yourself, a task. The second thing is we want to make a task clarification. So basically, we're defining our task. So what I mean by that is I'm going back to look at my passion, my love, things that I love doing so much that I would actually want to develop and excel voluntarily. Okay? So by this, I mean things that I like to do without being forced to. Things that I like to just get into and have fun. Okay? So by doing that, we get a sheet of A4 paper, or a piece of paper like this. On the left side, we're going to write down anything that you have voluntarily enjoyed, and I would say maybe outside school. Okay? Things like your hobbies, your interests, and or even books that you love reading upon reading, and you found something, you've learned something, and you have a personal development inside. So make a list of those on the left side, okay, like hobbies, so and so and so. And on the right side, we're going to analyze your knowledge assets. And knowledge assets, by what I mean here is, for a school person, what you basically did in school. Which subjects did you learn? Okay, how many subjects did you learn in the past 4 years of school? I'd list them down on the right-hand side. But I rank them. I rank them in a format that the top ones are the ones that I did best. Ones that I got A's and B's, and I had like a natural understanding of this subject that it just clicked, and I got good grades and I enjoyed. Or subjects that, you know, we had like a really wonderful teacher who assisted in the method of learning. So those are the classes that you actually enjoyed. So I put them on the top, all the way down, one by one, to the bottom where you find classes that you sucked at. You got like low grades. You were bored to death in the class. Okay? So after you have this left and right list, you put a line in the middle of your right list, which is called the knowledge assessment. And anything above the middle line is what I bet will be your better or best knowledge assets. Because they're the stuff that you actually enjoyed. You enjoyed getting good grades, you enjoyed learning from a teacher, you enjoyed understanding. So these are the things you will remember, because knowledge is like food. If the food tastes good, you have the tendency to eat a lot of it. Now, same, if the knowledge was understandable, it's digestible, it was well presented, you enjoyed that intake of knowledge. So you want to eat more and more, and I bet 10 to 15 years from now, you will remember some details from those subjects later on in your life. Now on the left side, I break down each hobby. You decompartmentalize them into 3 aspects. The first ones are the hard aspects, which are skills and qualities associated when you were engaged in those hobbies. The second one are the emotional descriptions that you can give associated with that particular hobby or interest. And the third one are are there any of those subjects on the right-hand side that can be applied to these hobbies? Okay, so this is what I've done. I have 2 sides, which I call, the left side is what I love to do, the passion, things that I actually did outside school. I was very proud of my extracurricular activities. I had at least 4 or 5, 6 hobbies that I did starting from 12 to about 18 or 19. And here's some list of them. I mean, actually there have been more, but I just bring down to 5. So I had bird watching, which was something I spent a lot of time in nature. I had fishing. I spent a lot of time now in nature, but in the ocean. So I'm like on land and then ocean. And I did photography. I did music. I did philosophy. And I went on doing surfing and also, well, music is singing. I actually was engaged a lot in singing. So what I did here, the first aspect of breaking it down is the skills and qualities, right? Bird watching, for example, is like identification. That's a skill you need. You need to have memory, a good memory. You need to have understanding of habitat and food. You got to be quick. These are like qualities associated with a bird watcher. Now the feelings that I had, for bird watching, why am I addicted to bird watching? Thrill, adventure, and serene. Oh, did you expect a bird watcher to be thrilled? When you find a really, really rare bird, you feel like you're the only person who has seen it. That's where the thrill is. Bird watchers are like hunters, really. When you see it, you go, oh, that's my trophy. I mean, you've had it. So what are the subjects that you can actually put into these hobbies? I found that with bird watching, you go out into nature, you got to learn about, animals, biology, of course. Maybe you go into nature, you find rocks and things, you go geography. And it was, physically vigorous because you walk miles and up the mountains. Yeah, PE. So I did this to all of them, and I will tell you what I found by doing this, okay? First, I came to understood that these qualities and skills are what you are so willing to do voluntarily, what you're so willing to excel without anyone having to do. This is what skills you have chosen for yourself, not by the school, not by any subjects. So this is your heart telling you that, yes, you can do them. And these are the emotions attached, and this talks about passion. And once you start seeing a repetition in these emotional description, you're able to find your own niche of which area of passion you're prone to. So here, for example, I find myself thrill, adventure. I see here artistic, aesthetics, smart, intellectual. So I like to, I had surfing also, which was thrill and adventure. And I find myself involved with artistic, aesthetics, technicality, beauty, mode, and tone. This is photography. Okay, so this makes you understand more about which sets of emotions you are comfortable with. And the last one, it's which subjects are you willing to use in your choices? Which would you actually take to use in your life? So here, these two sets of information will be carried on to the model which I'm going to propose. And the model that I've used here is called the rocket of life. Okay, a rocket represents a vehicle that gets you to excel forward, go into the direction that you've aimed for, and never look back. Basically, you do it without regret. There are 3 stages to this rocket, which everyone can do. The preliminary stage, and then the intermediate, and then the advanced stage. This is a model to help you understand your life better, and you go step by step. First of all, on the left side there that you saw, the love and passion bit, you put it here. And the knowledge asset, you put on the right side. These will be your engine. These are the things that will drive you. These are the energy that will drive your rocket forward. And this also represents your left brain and your right brain. Things of passion, things of skills, right? So you're going to be using skills, and you're going to be using knowledge together to create things. So once you've found your niche, you're ready to go to the next step, which is the control room. How are you going to use these knowledge and skills? All right? So this is already quite enough for people in the high school to decide on which sort of course they wanted to do according to what they love to learn, what they love to do, and the subjects that they are good at. Okay? So when you go into university, you experience more and more subjects. And You're reading a lot more than before. So a lot of things go through your mind, and you start to pick up ideals and ideas, or values, or preferences, or things that you feel like, this is going to be right for me, this is going to be wrong, as you mature. So maturity helps you to learn a little bit more in the intermediate level. In design, this is called like a product design specification. You give boundaries to how this product or yourself is going to grow or you're going to work. So as you grow up, you can study people. You can study how Bill Gates or Warren Buffett, how they think or what they will do or what they won't do. These can become your values if you become inspired by them, right? So you can put these down, but I find that for me, when I came to this stage, I actually started contemplating a lot and doing some meditation to help me clarify more of what my preferences are. And it's not easy to recollect unless your mind is at a state of clarity. And a state of clarity is a little bit like water. If you want to see a reflection of yourself in the stream, and the bottom, if the water is moving, you won't see neither. You won't see the reflection or the bottom. But if you're in a place where the water is still, you can see your reflection and the bottom, which is yourself and the environment. So when you're in a state that your mind is relaxed, certain things happen. Old memories come up, arise, and you become more clear of your senses and your emotions. You can feel them more in details. This is how your personality becomes developed, and you actually understand your senses and emotions, okay? So this is fine now for if people who wants to find a job. For example, I made a value, an ideal for myself that I once started a smokehouse business. I was smoking some meat. And as my business started to grow, I felt uneasy that I was using animal products to make myself richer. I was killing pigs and chickens. And after a while, I could not move forward. I felt uneasy. So I actually told myself, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. That's a way of narrowing down using your preference. Another one was when I was reading a biography about King Rama V, when he told his sons, that I'm sending you guys out to study abroad not to look cool, but for you to come back and use the knowledge to help Thailand or Siam. And I thought, this is something I'm going to take because that would give a lot of meaning to my efforts if I actually did that. Because a lot of time when students go abroad, there was two choices, right? Two choices. You either study abroad or you come back. So my choice was, sure, I'm coming back. So these are the type of what I mean, like preferences. Now, the third level is when you probably have started working already, and you're starting to ask yourself more and more questions after 3 and 5 years of working. So what am I doing this, I'm stuck here. What is the purpose of myself? Do I have any meaning? Is it just like 9 to 5, wake up? So this part helps you to actually pinpoint, to keep your passion. How do you sustain your passion? You got to know where it's all going to. And this part, I actually used the biggest meditation to help. And when you go into details of why and who you're doing it for, essentially as humans, we do things for others. We don't do it for why. The reason we do why is because we want to impact on something, whether it's human or animals or the environment or the trees or an entity like an economic group. You can have like an economic student or workers wanting to do some research to help develop some economic idea. But in the end, you're doing something for something. So if you come down and sense what is it that you feel safe and comfortable to be doing for every single day for the rest of your life, and what has the highest value for your efforts. This is the main question that I ask. What gave you the highest value of my efforts? It took a lot of years of experiencing and meditation to help me get to a point that I could tell now that what I'm doing every day now is to help others. And who am I helping? I'm actually helping the King of Thailand. because the king of Thailand actually helped others also. So, I'm bypassing the king. So I have a reason now that I'm clearly satisfied with, because giving actually gives you the best reward. You can find a lot of CEOs and founders of companies that divert to mainstream CSR, because that's what happens when you have so much money. You want to give away, and the action of giving away actually gives you the highest kick. So I found, back to my philosophy, if you do something that you love, you'll never have to work another day. So that was my answer to my purpose. I want to give so that I can feel good every day, and I never had to feel like I'm working. So this is how I found my niche, and I hope that this model can somehow be applied to youth and adults alike to further refine your strengths, to help people who are kind of still lost, to reconnect with the paths that are waiting for you, and also to relight the passion by going to that part. Because a lot of people know what they're doing and know how they're doing it, but not why, right? I mean, we've heard this talk from the famous Simon Sinek. Start with why. You got to tap to the why part, and you will be happy about what you're doing in life, and you'll never have to work another day. So this rocket will eventually, if you've completed this picture, you can start to take off. And here are 2 engines. Use them and just excel to prominence, to a state of sustainable happiness that you get from freedom. So thank you very much.